What do homeowners need to know when they get ready to shop for insurance? What are some of the questions you're going to ask them? What do they need to look for?
We always try to tell people, hey, make sure we know how old the roof is and it's accurate. That way we can get you the biggest amount of discounts, and then also to you're insured correctly. So you don't have any issues on the backside of that. That's the big kicker.
There's many times where I've looked on a seller's disclosure or asked the agent to ask the seller, or what's the age of the roof? Unknown.
I can always run clue reports and see when some hail damage claims were filed and stuff like that. It can give me a good ballpark and see where it's at. But like I said, um, the the more accurate it is, the more money we can save you, right? Even if it's just a year or two off, it can make a pretty big difference on the roof.
Zip codes, cities. I
Yeah,
mean, did they get that hyper local on things, or
yeah. For the most part, it's based off of county, right? So Denton County is prime for hail, right? And so when you're looking at insurance, you want to make sure you have the best insurance possible, because you're probably going to get hit with hail at least every other year, to the point where you're having to file a claim within 4 or 5 years of you being in the house. But the big thing on that is carriers are going to come and go. I know Mercury was like, hey, we're moving to a 2%. And that was unheard of a couple of years ago. Everybody had 1% deductibles at DFW. Well, now they only do a 3% deductible in DFW. So if it's Denton County, Collin County, Tarrant County, those are kind of the three that you're going to get kind of hit with higher deductibles. But granted, we have 60 carriers. So if that's the case, we can put you with someone else. But Mercury's kind of a higher tier carrier where you're going to see them kind of drive the market. Just the same thing with the Safeco or Travelers. Those are kind of the three heads of all the insurance. So
kind of segue this into deductibles? What is kind of your average? 1% is kind of the unicorn, and you don't really see that. Is the 2% the new 1%? Is 3% the new 1%?
2% is the new 1%. There's not too many people that do 3% for required, right, minimum. But some people will have a roofer buddy who's gotten into roofing, and they can get it cheaper through that guy. So some people will put a 5% deductible on there, which I don't necessarily recommend, but it is possible. You can always change your all other perils deductible.
So there could be a strategy around increasing that deductible for wind and hail because you got a brand new roof. A month ago, what if you forget about that in 5 years?
The main thing I try to tell clients is, hey, we're setting insurance so you can forget about it. You're covered. You don't have to worry about anything. Go on with your life and make sure you're good to go. But if we do move that deductible up, you have a brand new roof, there's a risk that you could have a hailstorm 2 weeks from then, right? And it takes it out, or when that takes off that brand new roof. If you feel like in 2 weeks you couldn't afford a 3% deductible on your roof, let's just leave it where it is, right? Because it's just not worth it.
You don't think about it until it's time to file a claim.
Yeah,
And then you're
exactly.
like, oh, I forgot that I put that 5% deductible
Yeah.
on there to save $50 a month,
For sure.
And so make sure it's worth it.
Yeah. And the good thing too is we're insurance advisors, right? Like we specialize in doing this every day with all 60 of our carriers. So if you have a question about a certain carrier or something on your policy, on your renewal, or just, hey, Brandon, I got my renewal. Can you take a look at it? Because you don't know what it means. I do this every day. So I can look at it pretty quickly and tell you, hey, they changed this, or hey, it stayed the same, right? Or hey, I would recommend, as we're getting a little bit older, to do this.
I'm guilty of it. As you get that email 12 months later, hey, your policy's renewed. Great. You don't, renewed doesn't mean renewed the same.
Exactly. And I think the biggest example, kind of feeding off what you're saying, is you move into a house where the roof is 8 years old, right? In 2 years, you're probably not going to see a big change in your insurance. Usually it's at year three. Well, at year three, you've just gone to 11 years on your roof, right? And they're probably going to send you something like, hey, here's your new premium. To keep your premium the same price, we changed this to this. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. Sounds great. You don't really know what any of it means. But in reality, hey, we're changing your roof from replacement cost to actual cash value. And that can cost you a couple thousand on the back end, but they're not having to pay for it, which is kind of where I always tell people, if you don't know, just ask. When we're looking at these policies, we're not just looking at the price tag on the bottom. Now, that is a lot of driving factors, but if you can get the same coverage for the same price, or flip it around where you get double the coverage for the same price, which one are you going to go with?
No, it's a good point, because if you look at your policy, you're probably flipping to page 3, going to the bottom, going, oh, my premium, my monthly payment, stay the same. Sounds good.
I know State Farm, which State Farm's a good company. I had them in the past, but that's exactly what they told me on the phone was, hey, we're switching you to 2% deductible. We no longer offer a 1% deductible. We're doing this so we can keep premiums the same. But moving forward, I ended up finding some better coverage.
That's one of the great services that you provide. There's 2 parts here that I really focus. One, you shop over 60?
Yeah,
60 carriers.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one. I mean, how much of a pain in the butt is it for you going under contract on a house and then having to call Allstate and call State Farm and call Travelers, and you're getting all these quotes, and you're like, you're after about 3, you're beat down and going, I'm just going to pick one, versus letting someone do that for you, but then also sitting down and going, an unbiased opinion on, here is, this one may seem cheaper, but for a little bit more, this is actually a better carrier
for
that I
$8
recommend.
a month.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And really going through that and making sure you understand, and that you got somebody looking out for your best interest and not just keeping you with the same carrier and that's their focus.
Yeah, and I can feed off of that too. Where it's how many times have you called a client saying, "Hey, have you got your insurance taken care of?" And it's been a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and they hadn't even started yet. I can get it done in 24 hours. So you just give me one call, give me 10 minutes of your time to ask a few questions, make sure I got all the discount questions on there, and you're done. The next time we talk on the phone, I walk you through, tailor it. I'll make sure all the paperwork's at the closing table, and you just show up and pay for your house.
Especially when you're buying a house, you've got so many things going on. Not even mention you're a first-time home buyer.
Yeah.
And everything is brand new. And your inspections and option period, you got to deliver this earnest money and all that stuff. You're not going to remember. I'm going to stay on top of you to make sure that insurance is being shot for, because we have to do that early on in the option period to make sure there's nothing that's going to pop up, because there's no insurance out later on. But that is, that's a piece of gold. Get that off your plate and let a professional handle it for you.
Yeah. I think the big thing too is that, a lot of people do this, but my first time buying a house, my parents had State Farm. We had State Farm autos. I was like, all right, just call State Farm. They'll give me a price. Didn't even think twice about who I was going with or anything like that. And shop for insurance that next year. I found something almost $1,300 cheaper. And I was like, could I have gotten this last year? Is this just a fluke or whatnot? And I just kind of makes you wonder, like, hey, if I would just taken 10 minutes to call somebody who's going to shop it around, even if I knew I was going to go with State Farm to begin with, at least I have peace of mind. Say, hey, we shopped the entire Texas market, and this is the route I'm going to go.
How often should you shop your homeowner's insurance without it starting to red flag, type
I'll be honest, I've heard that on both sides. I haven't seen it in my experience. When I reshop my clients every year, I'm not seeing any red flags going up where it's, oh, they're trying to reshop, we're going to raise prices. I've never seen that happen. So in that case, it's smart just to reach out. It's free, right? It's, hey, we can reshop this and move you into a new carrier once you're on board with us. And if not, hey, I have peace of mind going into year 2. We're good.
My theory is that they're pushing these deductibles up. At what point is it more cost effective for a homeowner to then go to their roofer and pay out of pocket and not pay their deductible?
Yeah.
What are you going to do? My opinion would be that you just go to your roofer and pay out of pocket and keep that claim off of your record.
Insurance. Yeah. The big thing with signing on with Goosehead or with us is we have just so many resources. So if you're in that boat and I don't know which direction to go, we have a whole claims team that's fully certified in what they're doing and answering those kinds of questions. They can walk you through step by step. Hey, what's going to make the most financial sense for you? And that's a free service that you're getting by using a broker, right? And so in that instance, if it is cheaper for you to keep it off your insurance, maybe that's the best route. If you go and tell your insurance company, hey, I just got a new roof, and I just want to add that discount on there, and they update it, that can bring your rates significantly down, kind of talking about what we were, or it could put you from actual cash value back into the replacement cost. So not only are you saving money on your premium by having a new roof, but now on your deductibles, it can come down because maybe you had a 2% deductible, but you had to pay the depreciation difference, and now you're not with a newer roof. It's, you can save a lot of money. Now, if you go through insurance or not when it comes to which one's cheaper, I guess that would probably be personal preference. My thought would be, just kind of through experience, probably not putting on your insurance if you can afford to do that might be the route to go. But like I said, we have a claims team that'll walk you through that whole process and say, hey, should you do this or should you not? And it doesn't even flag your account. Like if
That's what I was going to ask. Yeah. If you go straight to your carrier, even if you're mentioning it, what I've been told, tell me if I'm wrong, that stays on your record. Just because you inquired about a claim, that inquiry stays there, and it could potentially hurt you down the road. Versus if you're going through your claims department at Goosehead, they'll walk you through that thing before you need to go to your carrier without dinging and stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah. And some carriers it can ding you and some might not. My recommendation would be, hey, just call our claims team straight, and they're going to tell you, hey, reach out to your insurance company and go about it this route, or hey, better option might be just to go find a roofer and replace it on your side. So they'll be able to guide you in that. But you're right, sometimes it can ding you and sometimes it can, so it's better to be safe than sorry.
I will also say on that, when you have a good roofer who's experienced, not just not knocking door knockers and hustling for business, but not just someone you don't know that's knocking on your door, have a trusted roofer, Tommy Phelps, who knows the insurance industry and the claims. Let them take a look at it. Two options: claims department through Goosehead.
Yep.
Having the trusted roofer like Tommy who knows that. Let them look at it first before you ever call insurance.
He's a good dude, and he's gonna go out there and shoot you straight on a lot of those things. And that is kind of can put you in an area where it's, hey, this doesn't need to be replaced, not like right now, or hey, you need to get this looked at. Let's start talking to insurance. I know he's done that time and time again, helped a lot of people out there with that route. Another really common thing that I think a lot of people are leaving off their insurance right now. Most carriers are going to cover sudden and accidental up to the dwelling limit. A lot of times we have optional coverages, or sometimes that sudden accidental isn't covered. Sudden and accidental, the easiest example I can tell people right now is freezes in Texas. We've had one every year for the last 3 or 4
that
years.
doesn't fall under flood.
No, it's
Flood
not flood.
or
So
whatever.
flood insurance would be complete. That'd be like a river coming in and taking out a couple
Okay.
different houses. If you have a pipe busting inside your house, like you want to make sure you're covered up to the dwelling limit, because I know a lot of people at 2-story houses have water heaters that are up in the attic, and that can go. I mean, it's just here in the bathroom, but it
Sudden
starts
and
to go.
accidental. That's the okay.
Yeah, so that's the big one. That's a pretty common one. So it's not something you truly need to worry too much about. When it comes down, is it on your insurance or not? It's just necessarily how much is it covering for? Is it up to the dwelling limit, or is it limited? I know a couple carriers that we work with can kind of drop that, and so I always try to advise people, hey, if we're going strictly for price, like this is what you're getting. But if you're going with any of my main carriers that I sell day in and day out, we walk through that and we'll make sure, hey, you're covered up to the dwelling limit. So no matter what, you're going to have the full worth of your house to be covered for water. When it comes to a busted pipe or something like that. Now, we do have some other optional water coverages. A lot of people are like, oh, optional coverages, I don't want to do it. The easiest thing I tell people is you can get almost $45,000 worth of coverage for just water, whether that's $10,000 for water backup, $25,000 for foundation, pipe busting under your foundation, doing some damage there, or seepage and leakage, so the slower leaks through the roof, or maybe behind a shower pan or something like that. You can get that for about $250-ish bucks, depending on the house, for the entire year.
Okay, yeah,
For the entire year.
sure.
I mean, you're talking about, a little over $10 a month to have
Right.
$45,000 worth of coverage.
Telling you,
It's a no-brainer.
You don't even think about that till you need it, and you go, man, I wish I'd have paid that 10 to 12 bucks extra a month. And
Yeah, a
when
lot
you
of
have
people will
that
call
thing-
you and say, hey, I thought I was covered for this. And it's like, maybe try to talk through it and stuff like that. So I always try to tell people, hey, these are optional coverages. I don't have to put them on there, but I'm going to walk you through each one. And it's like 4 or 5 of them. It's not going to take you any more time, maybe 2 more minutes to walk through them. But at least hey, is that $250 worth adding that, or is it not, right? And you can get all 3 of those coverages for $250. If you only do one or the other, obviously it's a little bit cheaper. I want to make sure you're getting the best coverage you can get for the cheapest price, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to get you just the cheapest price, because then at the end of the day, I'm just handing you a piece of paper that says, "Hey, good luck. Give me your credit card." So
I will say that's great, because a lot of times, and you and I went through it last summer.
Yeah.
We put our new policy in on our house, and there was some stuff on there, and I called you. I was like, hey, I don't want this. And you're like, let's pump the brakes a little bit. And I'm guilty of that exact thing, reading that and going, yeah, that's not something I need. But until you know exactly what it covers and you explain that to me, then I was like, oh, okay, no, I do want that.
Yeah, or
especially a
price.
history of the house. If the house has a history of a freeze, pipe bursting, foundation pipe, whatever, why would you not
yeah,
include that? Especially if it's at such low cost. Ask the questions. Brendan walks you through what this means, because that line item is like this long. You're like, oh yeah, accidental and what did you call it? Accidental
yeah,
and
seepage and leakage. You're like, I
yeah,
don't know what
seepage
that
and leakage.
means.
I don't know what that means either. That is another point of why you need someone to explain this to you.
Yeah,
You're looking out for my best interest, and you
Exactly.
told me, you're like, hey JD, maybe here's what this is. And once you explained it, I was like, okay, I appreciate that.
yeah, for sure. And like I said, it's a couple dollars a month, right, to get the extra coverage. But the big thing too is, you kind of just mentioned it. You have seepage and leakage is pretty common, right? We already mentioned that. If you have a pipe bust inside your home, that's going to cover it. Anything after 14 days, it won't cover. So that's where those optional coverages come in. So the seepage and leakage. So if you have a pipe bust, and it's busted, hopefully you're not swimming in your living room. You know, like you would know if you have a pipe bust, that's fine. But maybe it's just slowly leaking and it's been past 14 days and the insurance carrier comes in and says, hey, this has been leaking for almost 2-3 months and you haven't called us or anything like that. They could deny that claim and then you kind of just put a claim on your record for water, plus you didn't even get paid for it. So it's like it kind of hurts you, but if you have that extra coverage, anything after 14 days, you have $10,000 worth of coverage for seepage and leakage. So, which granted, you could do more than that, but $10,000 is pretty common for what I do.
And that's another reason why it's important to shop insurance as soon as we're going under contract during option period. Because once we get out of the option period and then he's looking at these clue reports and things like that, if something pops up, you don't have that unrestricted right to get out of that contract anymore. And so we're under contract. If whatever that option period is, 5 days, 7 days, whatever, it is fast and furious on inspections. Getting with Brandon, hey, start this. We're at 123 Banana Street. Run this report for me. And before the end of the option, we need to have the best picture possible on the history, claim history, also all the inspections that we do. Because like I said, once you clear that option period and then talk to insurance because you have time, and something pops up, if you want to get out, that's going to cost you money.
Yeah. Insurance has gotten so expensive; it's kind of pushing people in and out of homes.
And that's
too.
another good point.
Yeah.
Is that we may have an idea or what we think is going to be about the insurance cost based on the apps and things that we use, but then it's got a history of this, or the roof actually had more claims than we thought, and that insurance goes up. You need to know it. Maybe that has now priced you out of that home because you're already at the top of that budget, which I don't recommend anyway. What are you going to do? I hope you're still in the option period.
Exactly. Yeah. And like I said, we have 60 carriers. So if it is kind of fluctuating. I always tell people, don't let it push you in or out of a house, right? We're talking a couple $100s a month on top of your mortgage. If it's getting to the point where it's pushing you out, then we can make some adjustments to the insurance, like raising the deductibles or maybe cutting out
smart adjustments. Adjustments. And we'll be smart about that.
Yeah. And those are like case by case too. Talk through it line by line. Hey, are you sure? Because it's like, most people can usually find an extra 50 to 60 bucks in their budget a month, right? Just not going to Starbucks every day or something like that. So, I always feel like that's the big one for us is let us get in there early, because sometimes the insurance looks great and then you got in right after a freeze, like what we just had, and rates are going through the roof because insurance companies are trying to make their money back on the claims that they just paid out. And if it's bad timing, we could wait a week and then get back into it, right, and see what the rates look like then. But if we're pressed on time, it's really hard to fluctuate that. You kind of get stuck. Hey, this is your price. I think we don't have any options for you.
Appreciate you, man.
For sure. It's been a minute.
I always enjoy catching up. And
absolutely.
In the insurance world, it's a funny thing. So make sure you have a trusted representative. Brandon at Goosehead will take care of you, shop you over 60 carriers, walk you through it. We get renewals. You're calling him to go through it to make sure it's still the right coverage. It's just that type of service is not common. And so that's one reason I've chosen to align myself with folks like him.
Always like meeting with you. You always got some good insights on the real estate market that I don't even know about. And so it's always good to kind of, get together and bounce some ideas off each other and just making sure we're helping the clients out the best we can, because knowledge is power.